A senior government source is telling our colleagues at Radio-Canada that Ottawa wants to cap the number of international students who are let into certain provinces. Ontario, BC and Nova Scotia, notably. Those are provinces where more students are coming in than the housing supply can accommodate. Janice McGregor is live in Ottawa with more on this government decision. Janice.
Yeah, good morning, Heather. Minister Miller's been really clear for weeks now, frankly, about his intent to crack down on what he calls the diploma equivalent of puppy mills. Up to now, it has been possible to set up a business training college. You don't even need a campus per se. You can do it out of a strip mall. You can charge fairly steep tuition, frankly, churn out diplomas. And tens, perhaps even hundreds of thousands of international student visas have helped perpetuate this economic activity. It's that Miller wants to crack down on now, while still making sure it's possible for Canada's finest post-secondary institutions to continue to attract the best and the brightest from around the world. But it is hard to turn off one tap without also constricting the other. And that's why this isn't going to be as simple as just slashing or capping international students in a dramatic fashion right across the board. Last month, responding to, as you say, the strain that an influx of international students can put on the housing market in a particular center or around a college or a university, Miller tried to raise the bar, more than doubling the amount of money from $10,000 to over $20,000 that foreign students have to prove they have access to support themselves before they can even apply for a visa. But Miller, at the time, was clear that more changes were going to be required.
There have been reports, Janice, that we've seen the government has been warned about the impact of increased immigration and affordability and availability of housing. This is part of that, obviously. If the problem is that bad and has been for some time, why hasn't it addressed things before?
Well, frankly, Heather, this particular kind of temporary resident is big business for some people. And Miller talked about that on Rosemary Barton Live last weekend.
Federal government's the only actor here not making money off this. Designated learning institutions, post-secondary institutions have been largely filling gaps in post-secondary underfunding, which is entirely in provincial and territorial responsibility. There are also some people in designated learning institutions that are gaming the system. And so that we have to have a discussion with, particularly with provinces who do have the proper surgical tools to deal with this in a way to go after those people.
And if they won't, the federal government now feeling it has to. Look, the steep tuition that foreign students pay has become an essential revenue stream for some colleges and universities who say they simply don't get enough public funding to do without it. Several Ontario universities, for example, warning now that they might be going bankrupt. Employers, too, also benefit from an influx of people who are desperate to support themselves in this country. Changes last year allowed foreign students to work up to 40 hours a week. That helps with labor shortages, sure. But Miller put it this way. He said, you know, taking business courses on the weekend while otherwise ending up driving Uber full-time, that is not how this visa program was intended to work.
Thank you, Janice.
You're welcome.